If you're looking for the pulse of Tampa Bay sports, Beckles and Recher is the #1 source. The new guard, raising up the bar. Intelligent sports talk in your own backyard. Ain't no competition, ask the fans why. Beckles and Recher got it by a landslide. Don't fret, microphone check, stand by. Yo, Bucs, where they at? Who my two favorite guys? Here they go. 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 Here they go.
All right, welcome back to the Beckles and Recher podcast.
Yes.
Sponsored by Dignitary Cafe.
Of those people.
Also being shown at the Dignitary Cafe bar.
Really?
Tended by the great Tom Ponzo.
Yeah, Tom.
Yeah, so can you bring me a quad of wow, please, Tom, if you may. Appreciate you.
Right there.
What? What happened?
What's that? A quad of wow?
No, this is Kratom. This is Kratom. This is red
wow?
Wow is cover.
Double dipping?
I'm a double dipper.
He's a double dipping, sipping, flipping, stripping.
What's up with you, man?
I'm chilling like a villain Bob Dylan and penicillin. You know, I get down, baby.
How many? I have a simple question for you.
There's
okay?
no. Okay.
What were we talking about the other day? We were talking about some female soccer league, and I know you're laughing, but just let me finish. We're talking about some female soccer league that's going on in Tampa Bay. I don't even know which specific one it was.
Oh, you weren't talking to me.
I wasn't talking. I was talking to somebody else.
I
think it was Greg Wolf. Wolf, because he's affiliated, right?
The Tampa Bay Sun.
Yes, and I said I didn't even know this was happening. Right. So I was like, "Does anybody go there?" He's like, "Yeah, blah blah." Yeah. And then Jay Recher, and I was like, "So Jay showed up?" He goes, "Yeah, Jay's been there a few times." And I go, "Shocker." So I have to ask you,
why? What's your response?
How many?
Why did you say that?
Shocker?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna ask you a
What
question.
aspect of it? What aspect of it?
The fact that you're at an event. If you have a sporting event in the Tampa Bay area and Jay Recher has not been there yet, you're not quite a sport yet.
Who's on that list? There's 4. All right, read
Okay.
my mind.
All
There
right.
are 4 people on that list that it is a Tampa Bay sporting event. If this person is there, I'm
All in the
one of
press?
them. It just could be anything. But one of 4 validates it, and I'm going to, humbly put myself on that
Okay.
list.
Well, you're definitely on the list. God, that's
You
gonna
just
be
said the
hard.
other person.
I said it?
You just said the other person just now who you were talking to.
Oh, Greg Wolf.
That's he's definitely on that list.
Well, you know what's funny? Greg Wolf, who I've known for a long, long time, there used to be a time where myself and Jack Harris used to do a lot of the emceeing, and I'll give you another name, Charlie Belcher.
Okay.
Now,
Welch is a
we've-
good answer.
we've
He's
all-
not on the list, but yes.
But we've all graduated because we old now. Greg Wolf is the next generation, and you're part of the next generation.
Okay,
You know
so
what I mean?
2 of the 2 other people.
In the press, you said?
Doesn't
have to
doesn't
be?
have to be press.
Rock Riley?
No.
No?
These 2 people are not technically in the press.
Not technically.
Or those other 2 people that are a sporting event, there's a really good chance that they're there for one reason or the
Titus?
other. Titus O'Neil is on the list.
Titus is omnipresent.
And there's one more person on the list. Think about it. For a reason.
For a reason.
There's a reason this person is there.
Rob Higgins.
That's a
I'm
good
close.
one. I'm going to say no for Rob. I love Rob. He's working if he's not there.
Thank you, Mr. Ponzo. Appreciate you, brother. Yes, it was Greg Wolf. See, that's why we have Tom Ponzo around. You see what I'm saying?
One more person.
The other name is
There's a reason this person, and notice I'm saying this person.
this person. This person.
Because if I didn't say
Martin Gramatica.
no, if I didn't say I can't even. Keep,
Am I warm with Martin Gramatica? No.
I'm not gonna say this. The reason why I say this person is because if I describe this person a certain
boy.
way, you'll be able to know exactly. who it
Okay.
is.
Is it a female?
Yes.
It's a female.
Yes. I thought by saying female, we
Julie Weintraub. Nope. Female.
sporting event.
No.
Female. Come on. If you know in the chat, you're watching on YouTube right now. It is
sporting
not a
event
Tampa Bay sporting event
and a female.
unless Jay Recher, Titus O'Neil, Greg Wolf, or this person is there. Come on, chat.
Oh, is the one who's an agent? That girl?
No.
No.
No. If you have to.
What's her name? The one who's
No.
What's her name? The one who's an agent too. What's her name? She's an agent.
You're talking about Whitney?
Yeah, Whitney.
Oh, Whitney.
Yeah,
Whitney
yeah,
Holtzman.
yeah.
No, not Whitney.
You know a lot of female agents?
No, a couple.
No.
No, but Whitney's the best. Of course.
Whitney's excellent, absolutely. I actually read a part of her book,
It's amazing.
and I don't even read.
Says a lot.
It really does. It's all good, man.
Who's the one person?
It's a female. The one female that always shows up to all the events is
She's there at the beginning of said event because of a certain reason. Oh, come on. She's one of our favorites. At the beginning of the event, at the beginning of
Melanie Martin.
at the beginning of a sporting
No.
event, what happens?
Oh, my girl Sonia.
Sonia
Bryson.
Bryson.
Yeah. I love me some Sonia, though. Sonia's
great.
good. She's good, folks, man. She looks good, folks.
So there you go, right? Those
Okay,
four.
that's the
Validation,
list.
right?
Yeah. Makes sense. But
All
you're
right,
way
so go ahead, your question.
But you're way ahead of that. So how many sporting events do you think you go to in a week? One a day?
So like last night,
Yeah.
I was at Jefferson High School with the great Pop Cuesta.
The great pop question.
And
Great name, team.
Yeah, Nelson North,
Yeah.
who was there at Gaither, his wife Carolyn, and their son Brady, who's the hitting coach with the Rays now. Yeah, I was there last night. Lightning on Monday night.
Okay.
Here tonight. Probably be at UT Thursday night. USF this weekend.
So every day.
Valspar
So sometimes
Friday
you
and
do
Sunday.
double it up, though.
Oh yeah.
There's times you
Sometimes there's
double it
three.
up. Yeah, so you
I'd say
average one a day.
I'd say
1 in a possible?
4 or 5 a week.
Okay.
4 or 5 a week.
Okay.
Because some might double up. Like I'm gonna go Lightning
Sure,
Tuesday, Thursday.
Sure. Well, listen, I don't go to any pretty much, so you're winning in that aspect. There was a time where I did, and listen, what's funny is when I started off doing the Ron and Ian show, I was me, and Ron was Ron. Then
Right.
Ron got older, Jay came, and Jay turned into me. I turned into Ron, And then no, seriously, that's what happens. Because Ron used to not go anywhere, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm going here, and here.
It's funny that you say that, though, because on my podcast today, I had Mark Topkin from the Tampa Bay Times and Eric Erlinson from LightningInsider.com. And the topic of conversation that's come up lately is going to games and covering them. Mm-hmm. And this will lead into our first discussion about Stephen A. and LeBron, because Stephen A. in this whole thing with LeBron said, I can do my job. I don't need to be here to do my job. I don't need to talk to you. My job is to talk about you. Now, I took it very early on in my career at WDAE that the only way that I was going to be able to really do my job and to give insight is to be able to go to the games. Now, I know not everybody's like that. I know not everybody goes to the games all the time, but I just felt like what is going to give me the leg up, what is going to put me in a position that I can speak from some semblance of experience, especially working with somebody like yourself, right? Mm-hmm. I'll never, ever know what it's like to be in the trenches. I will never know what it's like to be a part of a locker room where I'm actually a player. So what can I do to make sure that when I am speaking to an audience, that they value my opinion because it comes from some semblance of an experience? So I go to games and I meet the players and I get a mindset. Never, and I don't think you've ever heard me do that, do I ever put myself in a position where I know what this feels like. I can't. Mm-hmm. That's lying. It's disingenuous. I would never call a player a bitch, or I would never, I would never question a talent or call him a bum. Like, I could never do that. They're at such a different level. Like Brian Scalabrine, the White Mamba, said, I am way closer to LeBron than you are to me.
Facts.
It's not even close.
Facts.
Not even close.
Facts.
Right?
Yep.
So for me, I always thought it was so important to be able to go to these games, speak to these athletes, because I feel like it's helped. And I kind of proven myself right, because I feel like in the last 10 years, I don't know if anybody's been to more games when it comes to all the local teams, the Valspar, WWE, UFC. And I feel like that's put me in a position now where even after getting let go, I'm still doing all right. I still get credentialed and I still get people for my show. But to talk to Eric and Mark about that, I thought it was very interesting to hear what they had to say about it, because they've traveled with teams. They've also covered teams from home. Sure. And you being a former professional athlete, I mean, did you have, and I'm not talking about like if they wrote something a certain type of way, but you played for a while in the NFL. And those guys that were there every single day, does that mean something to an athlete? Even if it's not a lot, but like if you see the same faces all the time, like an Ira Kaufman, like he's putting in work too. It's not the same thing, but for him to be in the locker room every day, at least you know that there's some semblance of like he has an idea maybe of what's going on.
Well, you good? You done? You finished? Okay. That was hogwash what you just said, because
why?
It was hogwash. You don't go to the games because you think it's going to make you better at anything. I met your pops. This is
no. What you're talking about is watching it at home.
No. Okay, nope. I know a lot of people. I love sports. Not like this one. This one's watching,
You're watching soccer on a Wednesday.
He's watching the Hartford Whalers against the Nordiques in 1985, or he just randomly watching the Avalanche play. Like, just stuff no, seriously. You love sports. You love going to sports. You love every part of sports. I met your father. Your father sat down with me, and I had a half-hour conversation with your dad, and I felt the energy coming from him, because I felt like I answered some questions he's been waiting to ask his whole life.
For sure.
So you come from that. I played the sport, but I didn't really go to the sport. That's part of you. So if somebody just showed up in sports, it wouldn't be the same as you. You were going there because you would have went there anyways. You're not working for anybody, and you're going there. That's what you're made of. So out of all that stuff, I think it has nothing to do with you getting better at what you do. I think that's
you don't think it helped me?
No, that's not what I said. You said you.
But why can't both of those things be right then?
Why can't both? We are both right. But I don't want you to think that you're.
I never said it was the only reason why I went. I loved going.
I think that's the reason why you're good at what you do, is because you absorb.
The passion about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. You absorb that many.
But isn't that the goal, though?
No, absolutely. I love sports like everybody else, but it doesn't. I don't have to go to all of them, but the fact
Right.
that you do, you think about it more than me. I'm just going to tell you do. Now, going back to you saying being in the locker room. As an athlete, I've been on both sides, okay? There's some athletes that are impossible to deal with. There are. There's some reporters that are impossible to deal with.
You're so right.
So it ain't got nothing to do with being there. You could never be there. And I can see you once a year, and I love you. You could be there every day, and I can't care for you. So,
But that's liking or disliking. I'm talking more about credibility.
a respect thing, I don't think has anything to do with it.
Okay.
To me, it has anything to do with what you say, what you write, your knowledge. So you don't have to say anything. Some people that I see in the locker room every day, I never heard them say anything. I never heard them write anything. It's just about how we interact and how I like you as a person. I didn't really have a problem with anybody in the press. One time I had a problem with one situation. Me and him were fine. I've talked about it numerous times. I don't have to keep on talking about it. But other than that, I really had a good reputation with Ira Kaufman and Ted Webb and all these guys coming in that were coming in the locker room all the time. Like, they used to come and say, we had like a little relationship, you know? So as long as you're cool with me and as long as you're fair with me, listen, if I poop down my leg and you say Ian Beckles played poorly, I'm okay with that. Just make sure that if you do say I pooped down my leg, make sure I did. And that's the issue that I had that one time with
Spell my name right.
That's it. And spell my name right.
Spell my name right.
Thank
David
you.
Terry said, ask Ian if you remember Steve Ingram. I used to fish with him a lot. He played for the Bucs as well. I think he means Steve Everett, right?
Nope.
Steve Ingram?
Steve Ingram. That's
Steve
my
Ingram,
brother.
okay.
Was my fishing buddy. Had the biggest ankles on the team. Used to wear leg warmers for socks. We used to bust him out. Then he became a fishing captain. He can't fish better than me. I used to catch more fish.
Wow, Steve Ingram.
But
Shots fired.
that's my boy, though. I used to fish with Ingram all the time, and he had a boat. I had a boat. I used to put him on some fishing holes, and I haven't seen Ingram in a while. But he was a big old teddy bear.
Yeah.
He was like he just looked like a big 8-year-old. For real, though.
Speaking of kids, all right, so let's talk about this Stephen A. LeBron thing.
Okay.
I'm curious to get your feedback, and I don't even really know where this conversation is going to go because obviously Stephen A. Smith called out LeBron and he pleaded with him as a father, please stop. Please stop with all this. We know Bronny getting selected at number 55 in the NBA draft. He wasn't all that great at USC, but nepotism is alive and well. I mean, it's just you have LeBron, one of the top 2 or 3 players of all time. He has an opportunity to do something like this. He plays for the Lakers. He's allowed to influence this decision. Whether you agree with it or disagree with it, it happens in every walk and aspect of life. And now he's played some games, and especially that game against Philadelphia where Tyrese Maxey took him to the woodshed, which led to Stephen A. Smith making that comment on national television. And then the next time that Stephen A. and LeBron went face-to-face, it was at the game a couple of Saturdays ago when the Lakers played the Knicks, and in the third quarter of the game, LeBron approached Stephen A. and said, keep my son's name out of your fucking mouth, blah, 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 this and that. And, Stephen A. was very apologetic about the entire situation the first morning that he went on after, that situation happened on First Take. And then there was some other footage from LeBron and Richard Jefferson, kind of going back and forth. He was talking about me as a father and blah, blah, blah. And then Stephen A. goes on Gilbert Arenas' podcast, Gil's Arena, and says, I thought it was weak. I thought it was bullshit. It just that whole thing. And it's really grown legs because I've actually watched 5 or 6 different shows with their opinions on it, including KG and Paul Pierce. I just watched Dan Patrick. I mean, it's a big deal when Dan Patrick is talking about a competitor about this whole LeBron Stephen A. Smith. So this really has grown. So I guess, your initial thoughts when this thing came down and, how each of them handled it.
Let's go back to the nepotism part. That's how America was built.
Never going to change.
Stephen A. Smith, I promise you, they have to come to Stephen A. to ask him certain things, okay? So that's who LeBron is in his organization. I was on the daytime show the other day, and they were talking about nepotism and how it's terrible. And I said, can I ask you both, young ladies, I go, if Bronny didn't get picked, the person that would have gotten picked, you think he would have sold a ticket? Because Bronny sold tickets. Am I wrong? They're like, no. I go, well, this is business then. So nepotism, my ass. Bronny's they talk about him. Whoever else would have got drafted would not be talked about. So this is part of it, okay? As far as the Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James thing, and this is as deep as I'm going to get into it, and this is real. Those are two grown-ass men. It's just like talking about the war, okay? Ukraine and whoever's warring, okay? You could talk on both sides, and they both have good points.
Right.
They're warring. So I'm okay with LeBron approaching Stephen A. because if Stephen A. Smith, his little scrawny ass, was talking about Marcus, and I didn't like what he said, and I rolled up on him, he's not going to like what I say. I promise you that. I'm going to say, keep my name out your mouth, okay, or we have to solve some things. That's the way I was brought up. I have absolutely no problem with Stephen A. Smith saying it, and I have no problem with LeBron James approaching him with that. Who cares? There's two grown men that are taking care of their business. Now, LeBron James has to understand as a grown-ass man, when you approach Stephen A. Smith, you're not dousing it with gas,
right.
Okay? Because he has to talk about it. Even Stephen A. Smith said he didn't want to really talk about it, and ESPN was like, hell yeah, you're talking about it, because every single person is going to tune in today to hear what you say about it. So the best thing Stephen A. Smith can do right now is to keep it going, because we're talking about it, and it happened how long ago? We're still talking about it. Like, people are like, I thought Kendrick Lamar's halftime thing was terrible. We're still talking about it. Right. So how can it be terrible? So this Stephen A. Smith or Kendrick Lamar against Drake, that's the best thing you can do in the world. Everybody's gonna have sides. Every podcast is talking about it. We're talking about it. People are Googling their name and they're making out. So I'm okay with both sides. I really don't care. And I don't think either one said anything to this point to upset me. So I'm good with both of them.
Controversy creates cash, my friend.
That's a fact.
That's a huge thing. Did you have any issues with Stephen A. saying what LeBron did was bullshit and weak?
Nope.
Do you agree with him, or
no? I don't have to agree with him because
I'm saying, do you agree with that?
I'm not in that situation. I hate to look at other people's feuds, okay? Because sometimes, okay, so let's give Will Smith and Chris Rock situation, okay? Chris Rock did something to Will Smith to make him walk up on a stage in front of millions of people and slap him. I can't comment on that because you know and I know there's something somebody can do to make you do it. Yeah. So and you know what? It didn't just happen. It was brewing. There's no way you just impulsively just went up there and slapped somebody.
Well, you could say the same thing about LeBron and Stephen A.
Sure.
That this has been brewing for a long time. That's what people forget about.
Will Smith has been, what do you hear about Will Smith? He's gay, he's a bitch, he's this and that. After a while, I'd be like, you're going to stop calling me a bitch. Yeah. Okay, let me show you guys how much of a bitch I am. LeBron James, if he's not number one, is number two of all time. You hear what people talk about LeBron James? They talk about him like he's a bitch almost. LeBron James is still a good basketball player, and he's 67 years old, and he's still out there playing well. So if you're LeBron James, you're like, listen, I may be the second best player of all times, and you guys are talking about me like I'm a piece of crap.
Where does that come from, though, Ian?
It's the hate.
But did Michael get the same hate?
No, because who we compare? Because we didn't really compare him to anybody else. We didn't compare him to anybody else. Because Michael was the man at that time, and there really wasn't any conversation. Like for me, and this is me, okay? I don't think either LeBron or Michael Jordan were better than Kareem or Wilt Chamberlain. They're all different animals. Wilt Chamberlain did as much as those other two did. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar did as much as those other two did. It's just a different animal. Kareem did it with more couth. Michael Jordan will tear your heart out, but it's at the end, it's the same. So I just think this whole LeBron, MJ discussion, and it's never gonna go away.
Never.
If you put panels, listen, I'm not saying who I think is better. I really don't know. If you put two sides on both sides and the arguments, they'll be even. They'll be even. There's a lot of arguments for LeBron James. There's lots. There's a lot of argument for MJ. Okay, MJ has the attitude. LeBron has the longevity, and they're just different animals. And you can put Wilt Chamberlain there. You can also put Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in there, and their intangibles and everything will be about even.
Bill Russell, Kobe.
That's what I'm saying, though. All those guys. So it's about like. if you don't like
It's a
LeBron,
preference kind of thing,
that's
yeah.
all it is. Like, I loved Michael Jordan. I also love watching LeBron.
What if you don't like either one of them?
Well, I mean, okay,
I didn't even like Space Jam.
Okay, so it,
Screw you, Bugs.
I didn't think it was great either. I really didn't.
Monstars, man. Patrick Ewing, they took his power, man.
Who do you think is better?
It's a layered question. I mean,
It is layered.
for
To
me,
just blurt out an answer.
if it's one or the other, I'll always go with MJ because I feel like MJ's was like a movie,
Okay.
right? Because there was a progression. He was young. He was good in college. He came to the pros. He had some issues. He had to go through these trials and tribulations and losing and learning how to beat the bad boys. They finally overcame that. And then flawless for 3 years. He goes away for 2 years. He goes and plays baseball, the dramatic comeback. He wins another 3, and then that was pretty much it. And then obviously after, I don't really count the Wizard stuff, but it was almost like just a natural progression of life. So it was easy to kind of dictate, or it was easy to kind of articulate what his career was all about. Okay. And I think going 6-0 is something that you really hang your hat on. And you go, wow, you went more than 2 times, and you were flawless. You never saw a Game 7 in any of those situations, right? Then you look at LeBron on the other side, and it's been disjointed. It's been forward. It's been back. He doesn't always like to take the last shot. At times, he's a little more deferential. He had to go down to Miami with his buddies to form a super team to be able to, win this championship, to learn how to win. Obviously, they won a cup. Then he goes to, Cleveland, brings it home, which I think is a story, regardless if you're a LeBron hater. Shout out to our guy, Nelly Vidal from the Pindingos.
Nelly.
Shout out, Nelly. We love you. But I think that story for LeBron going back to Cleveland and winning them a championship was a phenomenal story that even the haters have to admit. But you remember, he didn't hit that game-winning shot. It was Kyrie that won that, right? L.A., they win the thing in the bubble. The thing about LeBron, it just always seems to be asterisk, and there's always an and but. But the longevity, you can't take away from him. He's a better all-around player. He's a bigger dude. He was able to guard all 5 positions. I just think it's almost impossible to compare the two at times. But if I had to pick one, because I know that he is not going to shy away from the big moment, and he's going to take the big shot, and for the most part, going to make the big shot, I think I'm going to go with Michael.
Well, once again, I'm not picking a side because that's just not what I want to do because I don't have an answer. But I hear both sides.
Yeah.
And what you just said, agree with every single thing you said, all of them. I heard another side say this, and whether this makes them better or whatever, but once again, they're different. Somebody said, who did LeBron ever learn from? LeBron went from high school, won a championship, then he came into the league right away. His coaching wasn't great. He took nobody to the championship. Then, along the way, he didn't have the North Carolinas and the Phil Jacksons and all these great minds, and that's where Michael Jordan learned it from. He goes, where did LeBron learn it from?
Well, LeBron went to the Heat, and then they
lost.
But
LeBron has been a basketball savant.
That's true.
His whole life.
But to act like LeBron didn't play in the USA camps and play with all those great coaches before he ever won a championship.
LeBron, I think, is more of a basketball savant than Michael Jordan. And I'm not picking sides.
Maybe. But he also played for Paul Silas early on in his career.
But it sounds like you're Michael Jordan. You sounds like you're on team Michael Jordan.
No, but I just think that argument I have an answer to. When you go to Miami and you not only have who's probably one of the best coaches in the game right now, and Pat Riley, who rivals Phil Jackson when you talk about one of the greatest coaches in the last 40 years of basketball. We're not acting like he's going out there and play with some schlub that nobody's ever heard before either. So he had some development, assistance as well along the way. But as far as being a savant, I don't disagree with that because his vision is incredible. His knowledge of the game is fantastic. I think it's just kind of a preference sometimes. It's just chicken or steak kind of thing.
If somebody asks me who's the best quarterback to ever play the game, my answer is not Tom Brady. I'm sorry. He's the most decorated quarterback. But in the same situation, can you tell me that Joe Montana wouldn't have won with New England? Championships are won by not by players, by teams. Okay, in order to win a championship, the offensive line has to block. You have to have the right play called. Receivers have to make amazing catches. There's so many things. So to say that one quarterback is the best just because he's won more championships, it drives me crazy sometimes because a lot to do with your success as an athlete has to do with where you land.
Your situation.
If you think if Vinny Testaverde landed in San Francisco instead of Joe Montana, we may be talking about Vinny Testaverde as a Hall of Fame quarterback. I would almost bet my house that we would be.
I would say yes.
100%.
You can't throw for that many yards.
That's what I'm saying.
He threw for that many yards on bad
But Vinny Testaverde got here with Ray Perkins and David Shula and a Neanderthal-type offense, and he lasted 20-something years. And when he finally had something, it made sense, but he had so many years of learning nothing. Imagine you came into the league and you got the best offensive mind and the best players and all this. He would have been amazing. So just to say somebody's better just because of success in a team sport, to me, I can't do it. I
think it gets harder when you go with team sports that require more players.
100%.
So, I think it's easier to talk about that in the NBA because there's only 5 guys on the court at one time, and we've seen guys literally take over a game. You could be the greatest player in the NFL at a position. There's 21 other players, 10 on your side, 11 on the other than you, that have to contribute to your team's success.
Who played the best in the Super Bowl here with the Bucs and Kansas City? The best player on the field.
I didn't think Mahomes played all that bad.
He was amazing. No, Jay, do yourself. I'm telling
I watched it. I was there,
dude. No, but you have to rewatch it. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, if his receivers made some plays, we'd be talking about him being Superman. There was a couple of times he was spinning off of guys, and he was parallel with and he was throwing the ball, and they were going off a guy's hand. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. And at the end of the game, I'm like, he ran 85 miles, and he's still making plays. So, I mean, he's obviously proved himself since then to be the guy, but Patrick Mahomes wasn't any less this year. There wasn't enough around him.
All right, speaking of the Buccaneers, let's get into the biggest acquisition that they made here in the NFL free agency, and that's bringing in Hasaan Reddick as the pass rusher. $12 million guaranteed, $14 million if he hits his incentives. And we're not going to talk about necessarily the X's and O's and what he can do, but I want to ask you specifically about his impact on the locker room, if there's any concern from you, because I think out of all the people out there, when you're talking about the people that they signed, and a lot of them obviously were Godwin and David and guys that they brought back, but people look at the situation last year with Hasaan Reddick, getting traded from the Eagles to the Jets, not signing that long-term deal with New York, sitting out all those games, and then not really contributing to an absolute dumpster fire that we saw there with Gang Green. Do you think that mindset that he had, and again, you don't know the guy, but I just, from your expert opinion of being a former NFL player, would you be worried about a guy like that coming into your locker room? And my answer is, before you give yours, a lot more articulate and with more experience, I said no because that situation was completely different with the Jets. And also, the other reason is not only does he know what locker room he's going into, but Todd Bowles and Jason Light know what kind of locker room they have. And I don't think they would bring in a guy that was a surefire malcontent to freaking upset the apple cart there. What say you?
Well, if you ask me if I'm worried, it could be from 3 different angles, okay? It would be from an organizational standpoint, okay? First of all, I would say from an organizational standpoint, I think you have to be a little bit worried, okay? Because say he has 6 sacks in the first 6 weeks and he goes, redo my contract, and you don't. And then he gets, pouty face again. That's a possibility. We don't know. He's done in the past.
But he hasn't. He's had a 1-year prove-it deal before with Carolina. And had a 10-sack season. So,
but we see he gets butt hurt though. Okay.
But after the season, not during the season.
But we don't know if he's in a situation where he's in the driver's seat where he can flip the script. So that's as an organizational thing. As a fan, I don't see how you lose.
Right.
Because he's a double-digit sack guy.
1 year.
You can't lose. How do you lose? Okay, he gets 8 sacks. He still lead the team in sacks. So I don't think you can lose in that situation. As a player, I just stay out of that. I don't know him personally because some of the people that are the biggest pains in the ass in the media are the best guys in the locker room. Mm-hmm. They're the best, realest dudes. Some of the dudes that you wouldn't let babysit your kids are the best people in the locker room. You need Warren Sapp. You need Warren Sapp in your locker room. You got Derek Brooks already.
Yeah.
You need Warren Sapp in your locker room. You need Hardy Nickerson in your locker room that'll punch you in the face if you're looking funny. He ain't punching me in the face, but I've seen him punch people in the face. But you need that mentality because it rubs off on people. So if this guy's that guy, good. Because I don't think we got enough mean guys on our defense. We need some more mean son of bitches out there.
Just need somebody who's going to be able to get to the passer.
That's what I'm saying. an attitude. Like, who is anybody really feared? And we keep on saying Vita Vea, but it's not enough. That's not enough. For a guy who has 7 sacks, it's just not enough. And they're not fast sacks either. They're sacks that take a while because it takes some. You don't see him beating guys clean. I love Vita Vea as a player. He just can't be the threat as a pass rusher. I would start my defense with him, but he can't be the threat. He's got to be the number 3 guy.
You always talk about building in the trenches, building from the inside out, and then you see what we saw there in Cincinnati with the Bengals, and now they have 2 wide receivers making over $30 million with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And Jamar Chase comes out and he talks about, I want to get paid. If I'm going to be the highest paid guy, I'm going to be, a couple million more than one of my good buddies, Justin Jefferson. And now Bengals fans are happy. Joe Burrow is ecstatic. But, other than getting to the Super Bowl that one time, they've had trouble making the playoff. They always start the season really slow, and they have to be looking at teams like Buffalo and Kansas City and Baltimore, like a lot of good teams in the AFC. Mm-hmm. And we look at our situation here, and you look at how much money Mike and Chris are making $10 million less than each of those guys at least. And I just wonder, it's good for you that you made all that money, but can a team be that good when you're paying 2 receivers that much money? I find that hard to believe. It'd be one thing if there was a track record of every single year getting to the playoffs or every single year going deep into the postseason, but other than that one year getting to the Super Bowl where they lost to the Rams, there really isn't a pattern of success for Cincinnati.
First of all, I think both those players deserve the money. Okay, they will get it somewhere. Okay, they're that good. Second of all, in all due respect to Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati fans, what do you know about building a champion? Because Patrick Mahomes allowed Tyreek Hill to go.
They still won, though.
But that's what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
So Joe Burrow has to understand that just having good statistics doesn't make you a winner.
They've had Chad Johnson and TJ Hushmanzada. Remember that?
But if you can't run the ball, if you're not good inside, if you don't have a good pass rusher.
But that's my question.
But they may lose Hendrickson.
But everybody's happy now. But at what cost?
But the fans are happy just because they're going to get a lot of fantasy points. Right? Of course it is. Yeah. Everybody just likes to see points scored. Cincinnati has definitely lacked something the last few years. I can't put my finger on it, but you're going with the same equation. Look, Kansas City has different equations almost every year, and they make it work. So Joe Burrow sometimes, right now, you're Dan Marino. You're Dan Marino who really never conceded to running the ball and maybe not winging the ball for 400 yards every game, but he also didn't win a championship. So sometimes you got to concede some things, and sometimes you got to develop a young kid yourself, like some of these other quarterbacks are doing. Those guys are can't miss guys, but if you're not that good inside, we're going to hear, he doesn't have enough time. Well, no, you don't have enough time because you gave all the money and you lost your pass rusher. Right. I don't like the move personally.
No. Yeah, building in the trenches. They let go to Alex Kappa because he was terrible last year. Yeah, and if you don't keep Hendrickson, Sam Hubbard, their other edge rusher, just retired.
Hendrickson is not terrible.
No, Hendrickson's a really good player. Good football but that's player, the thing. Yes. It's like, all right, great. You have these guys, but it's fantasy football's not real football.
It's not.
So, great, you have guys, you're going to score 35, but you're going to give up 38. Who cares? It's such a weird way to construct it. Right? You keep your fans happy, but at what cost?
Has Cincinnati ever been known to make really good decisions? Because I remember them back in the day when I was in the league, and if there was one organization that was comparable to the Buccaneers as being lowly, it was the Cincinnati Bengals. So that's the front office, their ownership. They've never really made great decisions to me. I made a free agent visit to Cincinnati, and they wouldn't even let me see the complex.
What?
I was coming from Tampa Bay, and I went on a free agent trip to Cincinnati, and I was in this van, and I go to the guy, hey, can you bring me by the complex? And he started talking. I go, hey, we going by the complex? And he started changing the subjects, and I go, are you going to bring me by the complex? He goes, I'm not allowed to. I go, what do you mean? He goes, if I bring you by the complex, I'll get fired. They weren't allowed to bring me by the complex. Jeez. So I came from one Buck place. You're not going to let me see your complex? It was worse than one Buck place? Dude, no way it was worse than one Buck place.
Hey, did you hear about that story with Manchester United? Why they don't play in Tampa?
I've heard that. I'm not shocked at all. That's not,
Isn't it kind of crazy
They
that
know,
the
though.
Glazers
They
have the
know.
most popular fucking soccer team in the world, and they're not allowed to? They don't come to Tampa ever. They're like, why? And it's like, and the story came out, and I've had ESPN's Mark Ogden on my podcast. He's the senior soccer writer for ESPN. He goes, they don't bring them to Tampa because they don't want the United players to see what the Buccaneers have. I'm like, wow, dude.
But you never know what you're missing
until you see it.
Well, the thing is, when I was here in Tampa Bay on everything I love, swear to God, I came from college and I got here, I was like, that's the weight room? Where's the rest of it? No, there's no rest of it. I was like, wow. So I'm like, I guess the NFL doesn't think, it's that big of a deal. No, Tampa Bay didn't think it was a big deal. Then I went to San Francisco, I went to Miami, and I was like, oh, well, there's levels to this. There's levels, because our level was 2 and theirs was 9.5.
But you know what the crazy thing about it is, Ian? If the Bucs were worth more than United, I would understand. It's not
the Bucs
close.
are still up high. They're pretty high up there, man.
No, but that's what I'm saying, though. It's like if you look at the number, I'm going to try to find it now.
Could I guess what the Bucs are worth?
This is last year. Go ahead.
I would say the Bucs are worth $6.5 billion.
They're worth $5.4 million.
Billion. Yeah.
Last year, Manchester United was 6.55, so $1 billion more. So you're worth $1 billion more money, and your facilities are that bad where you can't come to here. That's
they make over $250 million a year. And let me say this about those numbers, okay? This is real. NFL teams don't really come up for sale.
No,
because I'm gonna say this right now: if the Buccaneers went for sale, they can get $8 billion.
Yeah, they don't depreciate.
They're going to get $8 billion. 100%. Whatever that says, that ain't the number. They'll get whatever they ask. Because somebody like Elon Musk, who has how many billions he got? He could take 10 more billion out, now you own a football team? Yeah, 300 something. One week he lost 120 billion. So you think it matters that he throws 10 billion at a football team?
Can't believe he lost 120 billion, Joe Rogan.
Oh my God.
I can't believe this guy lost his lunch the other night. Tracy Morgan. Saw my man at courtside. That was sad.
It was sad, guy.
I'm Brian Fellows. I just threw up on the court at Madison Square Garden.
I love Tracy Morgan. I think he's just fun. 30 Rock, he's brilliant, I think. When I first saw it, I was just sad. You don't want to see that.
I hope he's okay.
He wasn't in control. Then they said he had food poisoning. And I mean, it's a possibility. But they showed him before signing autographs. He looked fine. Food poisoning doesn't really hit you like that, but drugs do. Like something might have hit.
I think he was drinking.
Well, but they showed him before and he was fine.
I mean, you get drunk like that.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. That'd be quick. But you could take too much mushrooms or something and it just hits you the wrong time, and that's a very good possibility. But it's either he's two things for me, okay? There's two things. Either he's sick or he took something. And that food poisoning thing, I'm not listening to that. I don't believe that.
Did he get wheeled out too? Yeah, have you ever had food poisoning?
Oh yeah, but you don't need to get wheeled out though. After you throw up. You're weak, but
that's the thing. It's
yeah.
like when you have food poisoning, even after you throw up, you still feel terrible.
Yeah, but you still can walk though.
Oh no, bro, I don't think so.
I've had
the last time I had food poisoning, it was coming out of both ends. I had to lay perfectly on the couch. Usually, if you're messed up, like if you took shrooms or something like that, and you threw it up, you feel better.
Well, I've never thrown up in shrooms. I'm not what people think that. I've never done. I'm not a throw up guy. I don't throw up really.
Ian, after you throw up, when you do something like that, you feel better.
I don't throw up.
I mean, you're too cool for school.
No, I just don't do it. Is it cool to throw up? I don't throw. I don't
remember
the
last time.
Cool.
I don't throw
up, dog.
Ian,
I don't throw up. I'm not
too
like
cool.
a little.
I don't throw up.
I'm not a girl.
I'm like, yeah, you're gonna have to get punched in the jejunum, then you'll throw up. You ever see Semi-Pro?
Not on purpose, no.
With Will Ferrell as Jackie
Yeah,
Moon?
I didn't like it.
That was his thing. He said he didn't throw up.
Yeah.
And then Woody Harrelson punched him in the jejunum and he threw up. That's you.
That wasn't a good movie, though. It wasn't. No.
You're
it's no fish to save Pittsburgh. That's for sure.
You're kidding me, bro.
You can't be serious.
It was better than Ladies, man. Look at that face.
Why is that
Look
funny?
at that face.
That's funny.
Look at that face. Look at that face. Because I knew that was going to get you. I was going to stop you in your tracks.
So are you telling me Semi-Pro is better than fish to save Pittsburgh? Say that. Say it.
What is it? What movie?
The fish that saved Pittsburgh?
Nah.
Oh, you're not a real sports fan. Anyway, take it back.
take it back.
I take it
I
back.
don't like sports.
You're not even a sports
So
fan.
you're taking it back. I do go to because it's for work, not because I like it.
Starring the great Dr. J. Are we talking
Dr.
about?
J. I know. Did you know my grandmother? Not the grandma that you have talked with.
Okay.
And known. My dad's mom, who passed away years ago, she used to babysit for Dr. J.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, Nana.
Back in the days,
Yeah,
Dr.
man.
J. And last but not least, we'll finish off with the Rays. I know you're so in depth with all of this research when it comes to the Rays. Can you believe? I think you can believe. The Rays had $700 million. We just talked about money and how much a franchise costs. The Rays were able to get the city and the county, the city of St. Pete and the county of Pinellas, to come together and raise $700 million for a new stadium. They get all the way to the finish line 2 weeks before March 31st, and they say, "Oh, we're good." The trust that has been so, I don't even know if it's been there from the beginning when it came for Stu Sternberg and this fan base.
You say trust?
It's gone.
You say trust?
Even the people that trust him, it's gone. It's not even close. Ken Welch, the St. Pete mayor, has been putting his ass on the line for years, defending this guy. And last week he goes, "The bridge is burned." I'm like, oh, shit. I just don't see how Stu Sternberg doesn't sell this team at some point. It's just embarrassing, man. It's embarrassing for our area.
Well, talking about this, I think is ridiculous because I think I could almost get a recording because we've said the same thing over and over for 20 years now or something like that. I don't know how long it's been, but I've said this before. I've had the pleasure or displeasure to sit right across from the brass and ask them questions. And as an older guy, I think I'm good at feeling stuff. I can feel things, okay? I think I can feel when somebody's lying to me.
Yeah, I'm with you, buddy.
So I sat there across from him and I said to him, "So Montreal is the only way this is possible, right?" "Yes, sir." "So if this falls through, it can't happen, right?" "Nope." "Okay, that's it." Because I knew Montreal wasn't a possibility. So after it falls through, then all of a sudden it's going to be back in St. Petersburg. Then it's going to be in Hillsborough County. You guys, if you want to, can keep on getting disappointed. But what has happened is nothing. And I'm not listening to them no more.
No, I mean,
The
it
dude
start, man.
he never, ever intended to put a stadium in this area. Never at any point. He's had a plan the whole time, and all he's done, and you know what's funny? I think you used to have to hold back on this a little bit because I think it was kind of up in the air. When all the other owners want you gone, then it's on you. I'm not scared to say it no more. You suck as an owner. We're never going to go anywhere as you as an owner. Thank you kind of for what you've done to this point, but let us move on. Because regardless, it's not going to turn out well if we have the same ownership. They clearly don't care about this community. Listen, people don't love the Glazers. I'm going to tell you what, the Glazers do a lot for this community. They really do. They're not Jeffrey Vinnick, but they do a lot for this community.
Who is?
Good question. I really don't hear much about the Rays doing nothing about nobody, trying to make nobody smile. I don't hear it, and they certainly don't show any love, okay? You don't see it in the stadium. You see it every time you go to Amalie, okay? So to me, I just don't want to keep on getting disappointed. I stopped being disappointed 10 years ago. I'm just not. You've heard my sentiments the whole time. I'm like, who's going to pay for it? Nobody? All right, then what are we talking about? Then you got somebody to pay for it, then you moved on? Come on now, what are we even talking about anymore?
No, you're right, because I feel like just the organization and their messaging to us, I feel like I've talked so much in the last weeks.
You have, of course you have. Yeah, but
And
it's
even
not
at the
over yet,
conversation
though.
yesterday,
They'll do something.
I just feel like I say the
They'll
same
do
shit all the
something
time,
to make
man.
us continue to talk about nothing. Think of how many things have happened that they make us talk about that we wasted breath on.
Just remember sitting there in a room, everybody giving their opinion about the month. Do you think Mr. Ball, because how the hell is this?
Can't.
And they were like, this is the only way that it can work. We don't want to leave. We have our families. We don't want to leave. This is the only way that Tampa's going to work. It would be easy for us to go to Nashville. It would be easy for us to go to Charlotte. It'd be easy for us to go to these other parts. That was their words, not ours. And I was like, okay, whether I believe you or not, that's what they're saying. Whether we agree, whether we disagree, whether we believe them or don't believe. No, but what I'm saying is that's irrelevant. Mm-hmm. That was what they were saying.
Sure.
Right? So if you are saying that to people, and then it comes out that, all right, that's not going to happen. And let's remember, Stu put a banner up. He put a banner up at Tropicana Field promoting the Montreal thing, which is one of the most tone-deaf things you're ever going to see.
Ever.
And then he went on air on the pregame show for the race with Neil Solondz, didn't even tell anybody that he was going on the air. Didn't give Topkin the heads up, didn't give DAE the heads up. He just went on the air. Nobody even knew he was going to be on. And he went on there and said, oh, this isn't a good idea. We made a bad decision putting the banner up. Bad decision. Remember when they were going to do the thing in Ybor? It's only going to work here in Tampa, and this is how it's going to get done. Then when that was done, well, it's not going to work in Tampa. It's only going to work in St. Pete. Then you get all the way down the road. You're kicking the can down the road. You get as far as you've been. And now that Stu put the word out that this isn't going to happen, now you're like, well, maybe we can look back in Hillsborough County. Bro, at what point do you think people are just going to be like, I'm done with you? Like, I don't think it's...
They're not lies. They're smoke screens.
No, but Ian,
They never intended to do anything.
I don't think you're a glass half empty. I don't think you're a pessimist.
I'm not.
I'm not saying you personally. Yeah. But you know how there was people, regardless, that was just that are, I'll believe it when I see it. And there's people that are ride or die. That's how they are. And then there's people that are very optimistic and believe. I think even the most optimistic people right now feel burned and they're done.
They're done.
Bro, that is a shitty thing to do to people. It's just a crappy thing to do to people. And I had my buddy Evan Klosky from Channel 10 on the other day. He goes, Jay, the race needs to realize that like they put us in a position as the media to lie to people. We're not necessarily giving, not about as far as giving our opinions, but what they told us, we told you. And that was a lie.
Correct.
So what we're doing is we're, perpetrating? We're perpetrating not the truth.
The fraud.
We're perpetrating the fraud.
Facts. So
that's not, like, I don't understand how the Rays in their right mind. And Matt Silverman went on with T-Kraz last week, and I thought that was weak because I thought that Stu Sternberg should have been the guy that went on. He's the guy that put the social media post out.
People don't even know
you should be on the route. I know, but he's the guy that should have been answering those questions, not Matt Silverman. Yeah. And then Matt, at the end of the interview, 24 minutes, he says, well, we're going to work on a new deal, and everybody, bro, nobody trusts you guys, man. Nobody trusts you guys. And then you wonder why the attendance is down. It's a huge reason why people don't trust the Rays because of shit like this. If you tell me I have an option to go to one of three, bro, I'm going to a Rowdies game. I'm going to a Suns game. I'm going to a UT game. I'm going to a USF game before I'm going to a Rays game. If that, you know what I mean? If I'm that type of fan that can only go to one game, like that is so far down on the priority list. And that's fucked up, man. You guys created this. You guys made your people, your fan base feel like scorn lovers and just like feel if it's like make them feel like idiots. Like that's not right, man. And that's why for years I've been saying, Rays fans, you deserve better than this. You don't deserve to be treated like that.
Well, first of all, there's not that many of diehards. There's just not, okay? And I've talked, till I'm blue in the face about the lack of support. But I'm going to say this. I had this conversation with somebody about the Lightning the other day. And being from Montreal, Canada, which is a hockey town, probably the hockey town. People are like Tampa Bay is a hockey town. I'm going to correct that. Tampa Bay is a Lightning town.
I'll give you that. I like that.
You heard me?
Yeah, man.
You know what I just said, though? I
like that a lot.
Because this is real, now, Jay. Other than you and maybe two other people, nobody's watching anybody else's hockey. No, I'm being serious about
You're
that.
Not wrong.
Including
not
myself,
wrong.
okay? So that doesn't make us a hockey town. We are a Lightning town. We love the Lightning. We love Jeffrey Vinnick. We love that building. We love the atmosphere. We love everything about that, okay? I never heard anybody with any passion talk about the Rays one time the whole time I've been here. Not one time. Like I bet they have some fans, but I heard it was a statistic. There's 300 season ticket holders from Pinellas County. I'm like, what? Like, who did the research to put the stadium there? Like, who did that? So this thing was doomed to begin with, and then with the ownership, and that's not this ownership, the previous ownership sucked as well. It wasn't great. So we've had no luck. Give it to Jeffrey Vinnick. I want to see Jeffrey Vinnick put his hands on this thing, because I promise you, it feels different immediately, but it feels yucky. The Rays feel yucky because they don't put nothing back, and it just seems like they're always, okay, you get free parking. I think that was a while ago. Thank you. We appreciate it. But since then, I just don't really feel they give back enough, and they get it with their attendance. The Lightning, boy, the Lightning can lose 20 in a row. They're going.
And people will say, well, if you have a good product on the field, that would make up for a lot of things.
That's not
the
true.
Rays have been pretty good, man.
Okay. Not pretty good. Really good.
Yeah, but
there's a 10-year period they were like one of the winningest teams in baseball.
Ian, that's what I'm saying. And a lot of people don't, whether they don't have the balls to talk about it or they just don't, they're not real with themselves. The fact that they still have attendance issues, the fact that they still have trust issues with the ownership because of, with the team still being that good, how did they not look in themselves in the mirror and realize that it goes deeper than the product on the field? You know why? They don't care.
It doesn't matter.
No,
it doesn't matter.
Really, honestly, think that you can't tell people. This is another thing, and I know you didn't listen to the interview, and I don't blame you. Matt Silverman said this at the end, and I want to get your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I can't wait for baseball to get started again because some of these emotions will die down.
No, they won't.
No.
Okay.
Think about it, though.
Okay.
Why say something like that?
I know. Stop being mean
to
us.
No, but here's the reason why. Because the best part of the Rays, the best part of the entire organization is what?
The play.
On the field.
Period.
And you're hoping that with the team giving good vibes to the fan base, people will forget about the business and what has happened off the field. While it makes it dissipate and while it makes it maybe it paper maches over the issues, it never goes away. It never goes away because you're just waiting for that next announcement. You're waiting for that next discussion. You're waiting for that next social media post. But think about how screwed up that is. Even just as, Ian, if you and I have a problem, right? And you and I have like a legit problem, right? And we argue and we go back and forth and we never resolve it. But we come in, we do the podcast, and then we kind of live our lives going in the same way. But we never have a sit down, like, let's hash this shit out. Will our bond ever be that strong again?
No, I don't think we've ever been in a situation.
No, but what I'm saying,
if
you and I ever had a real beef, you and I would be like, hey, let's talk about it.
I think it would happen immediately.
Yes, but let's say it did it, though. Let's say, like, because of some circumstantial, right?
Couldn't happen.
But you and I, the next moment,
couldn't happen.
We would talk about it, right?
Doesn't happen in my world now.
Right?
Yeah, this hasn't worked.
But you understand what I'm saying, right?
I get it.
If you have a good friend and you have an argument, maybe not that time, but at least the very next time we're hashing this out, we are not going to avoid it and I hope that if we ignore it, it goes away. That's what the Rays are doing with this. They're saying if we ignore the reality of the situation and just have, it's almost like the trick, right? The 3-card monte kind of thing, or just like the follow. I can't even think about what I'm talking about right now. But it's just
the shell game.
The shell game. There you go. It's almost like the shell game, right? Look at this over here. Look at this over here. Look at this over here. Oh, yeah. Over here, you're screwed up. Here's the dollar, right? Oh, but look, the shell's over here. It's so nice. We're winning baseball games. Yeah. Like, that's what they're doing.
The unfortunate part is, I think the average Rays fan is being treated, or they believe they're being treated like they're like this. The Rays are a slumlord.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Like, they're like, what are you complaining about? You guys have AC. What are you complaining about? The roof isn't leaking anymore. Like, what are you complaining about? But, yo, you look across the street, and the Dodgers is Taj Mahal, yo. We're in the Motel 6, and the worst one, the rundown Motel 6. You can still live there. But, like, when these guys are talking, they're talking like they're slumlords, yo. And my thing is about ownership. They really talk sometimes like they lose money. They don't show you the books, yo. And the facts that we only pay, still our payroll is still as low as it is.
Bro, he told me last year
an astronomical amount of money.
Bro, he told me last year that at a $90 million payroll that they were going to take a loss on their P&L statement.
Yes.
$90 million. You know how much the Rays got in revenue sharing last year?
How much?
I think it was $30 million. Really? You have a TV deal? You get tickets even? You're not drawing 500 people.
Come on, dog. It doesn't equate. It's like, listen, I don't like to get political, but people are like, Elon Musk lost that, and our president's saying, go buy Tesla. Musk is going to be fine. We're struggling. Yeah. Like, we're struggling over here. And now people in this day and age, I don't know about your world, Jay, my world's going crazy because every time I need to buy something, I can't afford it. So in order for somebody to take a lot of money out of their pocket to go watch a sporting event, I'm not paying for a Rays ticket right now because it don't feel great. Because product's not great, feels not great. I'll go to a Lightning game. I'll go to a Bucs game after that. There's probably a few other things I go before damn Rays. And somebody offered me tickets. I mean, I'm good.
Rays make $301 million in revenue.
The Dodgers. They're playing the same game.
$549.
The Dodgers are playing the same game, aren't they? Kinda. Not really though.
$549. Their payroll's over $300. Rays are $301, and
at the end of it, they all make the same amount of money. They make a lot of money. They make hundreds of millions of dollars, but they can't afford any more payroll. Oh, we can't change our payroll to 150 because then we would make 200 instead of 250. Get out of here! I'm tired of that crap. Seriously. And nobody loves that anymore. Nobody.
They're over it.
Including the other owners who would try. Did they have a vote? Did they want to vote them out?
No, I think now, finally, like, for a while, like, we thought that it was that bad, but for a while, they were just like, They don't like stroking out that check for revenue sharing. And
why would they?
It's all about Rob Manfred and the commissioner, and the reason, Manfred, he doesn't want to leave this market. That's why whenever anybody ever tells you anything about Orlando, they're not going to Orlando. There's no freaking way that the Rays will ever go to Orlando.
I don't think so.
You're never going to leave this TV market to go to Orlando. It's not happening. They have issues over there that they got to take care of. Baseball's not. If baseball goes over there, it's independently. It's an expansion franchise, and it ain't going to happen before Vegas or obviously Vegas with like Nashville or some of these Charlotte. Orlando's not happening before those, and they're certainly not going to get the Rays. It's not going to happen. Rob Manfred loves this market. He thinks it works in this market. And the only reason why I think he hasn't put more heat on him is because, that's his boy. Like him and Stu. Stu's been on his board of directors and things like that. So
I'd be pissed off, too, if I was another team that was trying. And you have to give revenue sharing to a team that's not trying.
Yeah.
They know. Those teams know how much the Rays are making. Yeah. They know. We don't. They know. And they're like, damn, they only spend 90? We're spending 200 and 250. Oh, I mean, come on now. The equation's not that hard, man.
Math ain't mathin'.
If you spend more money, you're going to be better, period. They've done amazing with what they've had, but if you spend more money, you're going to be better.
All right, it's going to wrap it up for us.
Yeah, man.
4817 Southwest Shore Boulevard here at the Dignitary Cafe. Come by and say hello. Get your kava. Get your kratom.
Friendly.
Joe Rogan. Gotta go pick up my parents. Stop. That's Ian Beckles. Follow him on all social media platforms at Ian Beckles, at Ian_Beckles.
My feet are strong, Joe Rogan.
Yeah, so strong, Joe Rogan. At Jay Recher, the Jay Recher podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe as well. We'll be back next Wednesday right here on the Beckles and Recher podcasts.
Come and hang out at Dignitary Cafe.
Peace out. 1 love, 2 love, 3 love, 5 love. Come on,
If you're looking for the pulse of Tampa Bay sports,